I'm playing with some stickles. If you have not tried stickles before, you're in for a real treat. And if you do use stickles, perhaps this will give you an idea or two of additional ways that you may not have tried using them before. So one way you can use them is just to accent things. We'll try with this card here. So here's a way we can just add some additional sparkle. Let's take maybe this crystals color. And when I use stickles onto a project, say for this instance in a card, I use my stickles as the very last thing that I add, because you do have to set it aside for a while, allow it to dry, and you don't want to stick your fingers in it while it's drying. So here's a few places that we could add just to have a little sparkle. I'm thinking even just to do a little circle around, kind of outlining that circle, and if I did that, I would do that on a couple more circles on the card. So it's just the paper in the background that's now going to have some sparkle on there. And I'm just barely squeezing the bottle so that the glitter is coming out this really fine tip. And I know it's hard for glitter to show up on computer screens, but you can see here where we now have just a little outline of glitter, and it really makes it sparkle. So the stickles is really, it's just like it's glue with glitter in the glue. So you don't have any of the mess of a glitter dust floating around. You can even add it on top of your 3D flowers or other items. We'll just add a little bit of sparkle to the tip of some of these leaves. This stickles happens to be called crystal, which is mostly clear, I would say, but it does have some colors of glitter in there. A little bit of green, a little bit of maybe gold. And this is just going to add a nice touch of sparkle on top of some of these flowers. And you don't need to do all of it. This is just a little bit of sparkle can make it look like everything's sparkling without doing a lot. So here's a close-up of these flowers. And you can see the sparkle just on the tips of the leaves now. And then I would set this aside and allow it to dry for half an hour or so. Here's another thing you can do with stickles is actually color in an item. So here's some little tiny hearts that I've stamped. And again, this time we're using Christmas Red, it's called. And look at how fine that tip is. So your glitter comes out a really fine tip. And you don't have to squeeze very much. It's just ready to come out there. So in this case, when I'm going to fill in a stamp, so I'm kind of coloring with it, I squeeze a little bit, just barely. Like you don't even really see the bottle press in. There's just a little bit of pressure on there. And if you get a little bit too much comes out, then you just stop squeezing. And I still use this tip of the bottle, kind of like a paintbrush. So I'm just pushing it around and filling in the area I want it in. If you need a little bit more glitter to come out, you just give it a slight little squeeze, a little bit at a time, and you'll get the feel of how to control that. And so there you will have a glistening red heart. Let's try that with pink. This one happens to be called Neon Flamingo, so that's a bright pink one. And I tend to go, I'm kind of using it almost like a crayon, coloring around the outside, and then fill it in. And it's just that simple that we've got another one in there. This one is slightly a different color red. It's called Rhubarb. There is over 30 different colors of stickles, so there's a lot to choose from. And there you go, 3 little hearts. Even that can go onto a project. So instead of coloring in, you can have it full of glitter. And you can see like nothing's going to fall off. It's not like granular, but it is wet. But look at how glistening that is. Ooh. Like, who doesn't like glitter? If I can find the camera lens there. Yeah, lots and lots of sparkle on those. Here is a chipboard embellishment that's printed, so it's got the thickness of chipboard. And we can add just a little bit of glitter on there. This one is called Glisten, so it's kind of like a light brown, maybe a little bit of gold in there. And for something like this, like I don't want to cover up the design, but if you just want to add a little bit of touch of sparkle here and there, you can add it, squeezing it out of the bottle so that it's a little bit raised, or you can have it so that it's just flat too, so that you just have some sparkle. So this is just adding a few dots here and there, but that adds some nice, you can see it shining on there. So that just sparkles up your project. Here is some, here's a flower. We can add some lines of glitter perhaps. You could add glitter in the center. That would be kind of pretty. So just that easy. We've changed the color of it and now it's sparkly pink. If you want to add a little bit of glistening to the petals, even if you don't want to change the color of it, just add some highlights. This stickle bottles is almost empty on this, so it's actually a good idea to store your stickles upside down so that the glue is at the top ready to come out. So this is just adding a few lines, some highlights, and a little bit of color. Lots of glitter, lots of sparkle. And you get the idea. You don't have to watch me finish it all. I also like using this yellow, which is yellow stickles, for if you're doing anything that has a house window in it or a cabin window, and put this in the window so it looks like it's sparkling, like a sparkling fire or a sparkling light going. And there you can see all that glitter. So it adds the color and the glitter on there, and then you would set that aside to dry. Here's some leaves. So this is chipboard. This is a plain piece of chipboard that I've happened to painted white and then didn't use in my project. So you can add some color to that. Now if you want to just kind of smear it out so it's thin rather than raised at all, you can use a paintbrush to do that. You can use your finger just like this. Spread it out and just get a thin layer of some sparkle on there. So it doesn't have to be solid, the color of your stickles. Like this here that is painted white, you can still see the white paint showing underneath the sparkle. This is adding sparkle on it. So if you were really using this as leaves, you may want to paint it green first, or a couple shades of green, and then this would just add a thin layer of sparkle on top of your project, on top of your embellishment. So there you can see the original color shining through, but lots of sparkle on there. So great for your chipboard embellishments as well. You can also use it through a stencil. Here's one where I often use these colors on fairy wings, because you know how fairy wings glisten? So there's a few colors here. Crystal, Stardust, these are our most popular colors. Also like this Icicles, where they're mostly clear, but there is colors of sparkling glitter inside there. Maybe we'll use this one here, which is Crystal. And I'm just going to put it right where these fairy wings are so that she has nice sparkly wings that, like, what do you call it? Glossamer wings, I think. So you can still see through them, but very iridescent and now also sparkly. And that just really creates her to be your focal point, is her wings. Look at how those wings just glisten. Love it. And we have a lot of variety of these Lavinia stamps in, which our specialty fairy line and all of the foliage and their houses and things that go with them. So if you're into the fairies, you really want to try that on their fairy wings. And you can see how, even though it's kind of clear, there's a lot of green there. So that was this crystal here, which is quite green. Let's do a comparison of these clear ones. So if I have, we'll just use this butterfly I have. If we put on the body, I'll do this same one that I used on the wings and of the fairy. So we'll do the body of that in crystal. Then are going to use Stardust on this lower wing, just so we can compare a little bit. They're so close together, but there is a subtle difference of the glitter that's in the glue. And we'll do this side too. This butterfly would look nice if it had some colors underneath it instead of just white, but you'll get the idea of the sparkle for sure. And then Icicle was the other one I hadn't used yet. And we'll do that for the top portion of the wings. With the Icicle one, I would say it's got quite a bit more of a blue look for it, which makes sense. Icicles, you know, would be ice. They're cold things, cold snow, cold icicles, so it'd have a little bit of a blue glow to them. So we'll see if you can tell the difference on the computer screen. Maybe not, but you see on this, at that angle, you can see where the top layer of the wings look a little bit more blue than the bottom. So you can see that little bit of a shade of difference. It's a little harder to tell the bottom wings from the body, but the body does have, I would say, a little bit more green to it, and the bottom wings have a little bit more purple. So a little more purple, a little more greenish, a little more or bluish, and a little more greenish. So the three colors are a little bit different, but add some beautiful sparkle to it. You can also add this in your art journals. So here's an art journal page where you could add a little bit of sparkle, say to, I don't think I'd want red on that page, but here's a little bit of yellow. We'll just add a little bit of, just a touch. Like I wouldn't need a lot, but I would definitely, once it's on here, I would not close my art journal until that is dry. I would be very careful about that. So there, we'll just use it on the center of a flower. A little bit on the center. We'll wipe it around with the tip. Maybe on these leaves. You could liven up your leaves a little bit just by, like, they're already colored green. This was a long time ago. I don't know what I colored them with. Maybe even just an ink pad or a paintbrush. I'm not sure. But I'll just put a little bit of a line there. And that just really livens them up. You don't have to do a lot. It doesn't take much. It's just a little line of sparkle. So easy. And now they're sparkling. You could do it on, here's my little sketchbook where I like to just doodle and sketch. This one I happen to do with colored pencils through a stencil. So we have this stencil in our stores. And you could actually put the stickles through a stencil as well. But this, where the little sun is shining here, I'll just add some stickles. And now our sun is going to glisten. There we go. Now the sun is sparkling. It's kind of light in the background here, but you might be able to see that with colored pencils I did put some stars there. So you could definitely put some stickles there as well, like maybe just a spot. Doesn't need to be that big, but it does help to draw your eye to the stars and see that they're there. because yellow pencil on the kind of craft color background doesn't show up that well. But with Stickles it certainly will, because now they're going to be sparkling. You can also use this in your coloring books if you like to do, you know, those adult coloring books are pretty popular. So that definitely, look at how the sunshine and the stars are sparkling. Lots of glitter happening there now. So I hope that gives you a few ideas to use for Stickles. These are a very inexpensive way to add a nice pop of shine to your projects. I believe my memory's right, they're like $3.99 a bottle. So, and they come in about 30, I think it's over 30 colors, maybe like 36 or 38 different colors of Stickles, and we do stock them in both our Sherwood Park and Edmonton stores, and of course online at scrapandbean.com. So I hope that gives you some ideas to bring out your Stickles and make your projects glisten. Happy crafting!